Management Alumni Advisor here at UBC Career Center. And today I have the pleasure of being your moderator, okay? As most of you in this room, I came also to Vancouver as an international student 3 years ago with dreams, expectations, and my process came with a variety of stepping stones and also some struggles that I was able to overcome. And honestly, what worked the most for me was building, nurturing, and most importantly, learning from my network in Canada, or my new network in Canada. Now I can tell you this really made a huge difference for me. And it allowed me and helped me to insert myself pretty quickly in the job market. This is why, honestly, I'm very happy to be here, as I feel very well connected and related to this event. There's a great opportunity today at UBC that UBC is providing students like all of you to learn from recruiters like these well-known humans, and to also learn from alumni that went through your exactly same journey. So there's a great opportunity for you today to learn and take advantage of this. So I really encourage you to take advantage of this evening. This is a safe space for you, and we are opening this safe space for you to learn and connect and start building your own network. For example, last week, we had an alumni office hours, I think a couple of weeks ago, from a scientist from a very specific niche. And this was a humble woman with a great career journey. And one of her suggestions at the end, or her takeaways for students, was the importance of networking. So in this sense, networking applies to every industry. It's not just technology, it's not just education, it's for every single industry. So take advantage of this and use it to your benefit. So before we dive into the event, I would like to acknowledge where we are. We're at UBC's Vancouver Point Grey campus, situated on the traditional, ancestral, and ceded territories of the Musqueam people. Today, all of you may be coming from different places with their own history. And we encourage everyone to take their moments to acknowledge and respect the lands where they are standing and living. If you want to learn more, you can go to www.nativeland.ca to learn more. And now we can start with this event. Welcome to Launch Your Career in Canada. This is the last event of the series. And this series is hosted, of course, by UBC Career Center and Alumni UBC. It is UBC's signature programming initiative dedicated to supporting the career development of international students like yourselves. The UBC Career Center is UBC's Vancouver campus-wide career center, supporting graduate and undergraduate students from all academic disciplines in their career development, learning, and success. Everyone here, I assume you all know the Career Center, right? Yes, great. And also, on the other hand, we have Alumni UBC. If you didn't know, as well as partnering with events like tonight's, it offers an array of programs and services to benefit all alumni and engage you in the life of UBC. From career resources, stimulating intellectual programming, reunions, networking connections, and mentoring opportunities to the award-winning Trek magazine. This is Alumni UBC's way to connect students or to connect alumni with the institution. And if you're more interested, please visit alumni.ubc.ca to learn more about what they offer and how you can stay engaged after you finish your program of studies. In today's Ask Hiring Managers and Alumni How to Get Recruited panel, you will hear from these speakers who set intentional work and life goals to help guide their career choices. We're joined by recruiters from different industries who have experience hiring diverse talent. Our panelists will speak about the labor market, what top skills are required in today's job market, the importance of building network, factors in a hiring decision, EDI, and more. So over the next 40 minutes, we'll deep dive into their knowledge and learn from their diverse experiences. To set the tone and kickstart the conversation, I invite our panelists to introduce themselves. I'll start with you, Rubina, and move down in order to where you're seated. Please, Rubina, I pass the ball to you to start your quick introduction.
Thank you so much, Carlos. Hi, everyone. I'm Rubina Mahal. I go by pronouns she and her. I'm the Director for Talent Acquisition and Workforce Planning at TransLink. Before that, I worked about 15 years in healthcare in the same capacity. I take this topic really seriously and I dedicate my time and my personal and private life to eliminating barriers of employment. I truly do try to live the mission. From my own lived experience, I've seen my parents have issues with gaining employment, and then therefore has really leapfrogged me into this faculty and to this type of work, because I want to help others really gain their meaningful work where they really belong. So I'm hoping that throughout this conversation, I can share some knowledge, some tips and tricks, and make some great connections. So thank you for inviting me. Thanks.
A round of applause, please. Thank you, Lina. Up next, we have Sean McNamara.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sean McNamara. I'm a talent attraction specialist at KPMG. I recruit for our campus hires and our advisory practice, so risk consulting, deal advisory, and digital. Also have a hand in our audit and tax departments as well. I've been at KPMG for, I'm going to say 2 years now, coming up to 2 years. And I've also been in Canada for 2 years. So I'm originally from Ireland. I was one of KPMG's international hires and moved here. So also a topic that I'm super happy to be here for to speak with you all. And yeah, that's me.
Thank you, please. Now, please, Rotimi.
Good evening, folks. My name is Rotimi. I'm a former international student myself, so I enrolled at UBC in 2016 in the Faculty of Arts, majored in economics, minored in commerce, and throughout my campus experiences, co-ops, internships, volunteering were really impactful in allowing me to secure job opportunities post-graduation. So I'm excited to share a little bit about some of the networking tips that have been successful on my career journey, some of the career experiences that I've gained on campus and off campus, and hopefully really impact and inspire folks that are looking to kick off their careers in Canada. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Rotimi. Emma, possible to you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me here. My name's Emma Herbold. Pronouns are she, her, and I'm here on behalf of Vancouver Coastal Health Day. I'm a talent acquisition advisor at Vancouver Coastal Health, mostly in the mental health, Vancouver community mental health and acute mental health areas, but I'm also here as a UBC alumnus as well. I graduated in 2022 from the Master of Health Administration. So although I'm not an international student, I definitely identify with that idea of what do I do following completing my studies, what does that look like, having come from UBC. So just looking forward to chatting with you all today and hearing about your own journeys and where you're hoping to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. So before we start with the panel, if you have any questions for them, and thank you all for the introductions, please include them through our Menti link providing the screen. I'll give you a couple of seconds, please, to get into the link. Okay, so now let's start with the questions. My first question goes to Rotimi and Sean. Well, having honestly been an international student myself, when we arrive as international students, we see lots of information about the labor market. Given the current economic climate and all that we've been hearing in the media about the ups and downs of the job market, it can be overwhelming for students to enter it. How can we use the labor market information to help us make informed career decisions and choices? And how can students remain hopeful and motivated in their job search? Proceed.
I believe labor market information is a tool that students can leverage to gain deeper insights into how to advance your skill sets so that they're relevant in the hiring market that you're about to join. So for example, if there were second or third year students in the room that were looking for opportunities in the technology space, the first thing that I would do if I were in that position is research what are the fastest growing technology companies in Vancouver, what are some of the legacy technology companies in Vancouver, then researching where are they investing most of their resources in terms of technological advancements. So I spent the past 2 years working as a recruiter at IBM, and they've been investing pretty significantly in quantum computing, for example, artificial intelligence, as I'm sure most people are familiar with. So then as a student who's looking to get into the workforce, I then leverage that information to dive a little bit deeper into what job opportunities are going to be coming up in the quantum computing space. What industries might a skill set in quantum computing be most relevant for? And for example, clean energy, clean tech is rapidly growing in Vancouver, rapidly growing in the West Coast. So ultimately, labor market information is a tool that students should be using so that you're able to advance your skill set in alignment with where the hiring market is going and where industries are going.
Thank you, Rotimi. Sean.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, I guess I can take maybe the other side of that, just in regards to the job market not being at its finest at the moment, I guess. So for something like that, I always think about it's always just about speaking with staff. So of course you can look up about a company and you can look at the job markets and everything like that. But I think speaking to staff is something that's super important, and just being, open and honest about any concerns that you might have. So like, for example, at KPMG, we did have a new hire recently who I think like two of their friends, something like that, few issues with offers being revoked. And he was a little bit worried that that was going to happen to him just based on the current climate. So he spoke with me and we got him set up with a partner that oversees his team, and we just made sure that all concerns were taken care of. So I think just being open and honest about any concerns that you see in the job market is something that everyone needs to do. If you're recruiting for somewhere, make sure you look up and let them know if you have any concerns when you're networking with people at events like this, or if you're someone who has a job offer already, just make sure to be, I guess, open with everyone, and hopefully those concerns will be looked after appropriately.
Thank you both. So I think research and digging out by yourself, I think is a good suggestion. And these questions go for Emma, Rubina, and Sean as well. I'm curious to know what's the important factor or the most important factor in a hiring decision. For example, it is years of experience, a specific discipline or background, interview performance, or a unique skill set. Who wants to start? Emma?
So I come from the healthcare sector, of course, and within, for example, Vancouver Coastal Health, but a lot of different healthcare employers, we're such large employers that it really is almost like a city in the way that we have healthcare workers. So we've got, nurses, we've got people who are doing hands-on patient care, but we also hire for facilities and maintenance. We hire for HR departments. We hire right across the board. Because of that, we do have a lot of different departments, different managers, and it's hard to say, what is the most important thing that we're looking for. One thing I can tell you that is something that draws it all together is looking at the values of the organization or the mission of that organization, right? And seeing how you feel about your alignment with those, because at the end of the day, even if we're hiring across different departments, that is one thing that draws hiring managers in a similar way. We're all striving to work towards that goal of the organization or the values. So for example, at Vancouver Coastal Health, our values are that we care for one another and caring for our patients. So that idea of caring both for ourselves and for others, learning, so having curiosity and always striving to learn more, as well as caring, learning, and striving for excellence or striving for results, right? So even if you are across the board, there's different hiring managers who may look for, maybe one person is very much looking for a specific type of qualification, or in some other areas, the experience is more important. Of course, that will be different for each area. But kind of recognizing how you fit to those values, those central missions of the organization is something that I would say is a constant across the organization.
Thank you, Emma. How about you, Rubina?
So I know that getting a job is like paramount for everybody once you graduate, and your path might be that I'm just going to apply for anything that I think that I'm qualified for, and I'm just going to put my name out there, and I'm just going to make connections on LinkedIn, and I'm just going to do that. What we're asking and what is really important when we're talking to candidates is that you love my organization just as much as I do, and you have a knowledge about what I do for a living, and as Emma was saying, what the mission and what the background of this organization is really focused on, and how you can then offer your skills to even make the organization go further and better and more spectacular than it already is. You're selling yourself and we're selling us at the same time. So you want to keep that in mind when you're sending out your resumes. Do I really want to work for an organization that is, let's say, money making and for profit, or does my desires more fit align with those that are nonprofit or charity organizations? And really go towards your passion, and you're going to find your dream job. You have to be aligned with those types of values to make a successful job. And then don't underestimate the qualifications that we write in the job postings. We take those very seriously. Those are written with a lot of scrutiny. It helps us understand what the job market is requiring of these new staff. So when you look at them, that is really one of the biggest decision makings that we do when we're looking at candidates. And then finally, hot tip, the first question that almost any recruiter is going to ask you is, what do you know about us? So be prepared for that type of question, and then give a great answer that gives us an idea that you've understood, and now you really want to work with that organization that you've applied for.
Thank you, Rubina. Great insights. How about you, Sean?
Yeah, I agree with Emma and Rubina. Definitely, I think like there's so many factors that go into making a hiring decision. It's really difficult to pinpoint like one exactly. I guess from someone who comes from like a solely campus recruiting perspective, I would say if I have to pick one, probably the interview. So I'm going to differ a little bit from you both. I think, you know, you could be the best candidate on paper. You could have amazing grades. You could have great extracurriculars and such relevant experience to us. But if you're coming into an interview unprepared, and this goes back to Rubina's point in regards to knowing about the company, knowing about the job that you're looking at applying for, you have to be prepared coming into an interview. And although you're a fantastic candidate, we won't be able to go forward with a hire if it's a case where you don't know anything about us or the role that you're applying for. So I would say probably the interview. I think maybe as well, we see a campus level nerves sometimes get the best of people. So I think kind of top tip is just calm your nerves when you go into an interview. It's obviously everyone's going to be nervous going into an interview, but ensure that you know that the company wants you. They want to see more of you. They want to learn more about you, and they want to hire you. And the only thing that's standing in front of you is this interview. So just go in with a slate and you'll do great. So yeah.
Thank you all. So I think my takeaway for that is that's not just in papers, just align or match your values, your passion, your purposes with the institution, and you can stand out through that way. Thank you, guys. Well, my next question goes to Rubina also and Emma. What top 3 skills make candidates stand out for roles in your industry? What advice would you give those with limited relevant experience or who may seem overqualified? Rubina, may I start?
So I asked the recruitment team this question before I got here, because I'm like, what do you want me to tell everybody? They said, don't underestimate the cover letter. Show how you shine. We read the cover letters. That's a huge lie in the industry. At least I read the cover letters. I take great interest that you've taken time into writing your cover letter to show me how this job aligns with what you can provide as well. So show how, if you don't meet the qualifications exactly, show how you can. show how you will do that. Show how you are enhancing your education or enhancing your skill sets to align with what the job requirements are. What was the first part of the question?
What top 3 skills make candidates stand out for roles?
Yeah. So all recruiters are going to tell you it all depends on the job. So the top skills are based on what the job is requiring. The soft skills come into a huge factor as well. So your cover letter also exemplifies your ability to communicate, right? So don't forget that's another reason why we want the cover letter. We want to see how you can articulate within 250 words, how you can show yourself within this minute time. And then when you're promoted into the pre-screen stage, that's also a time when we're also evaluating your ability to verbally communicate with us and share your story and how that aligns with us. In terms of like hard skills, I would love to like meet more people and understand where you're first coming from. And then I think that's a better conversation we can have. It's more of a tailored conversation on if you're studying in a certain sector, then, where I can probably help you guide where you go next.
Thank you. Emma?
Yes. Yeah, thanks so much. So again, very similarly with in recruitment, it is very difficult to say that these are the 3 skills that you need to be able to get a position, especially when you've got an organization that hires many different types of roles. When it boils down to it, generally, we'd be looking at, a combination of that education, experience, training, and in comparison with the job itself, the job description, as Rubina mentioned in an earlier answer, that we don't take it lightly when we're writing those job descriptions. Often it will say, an equivalent combination of education, experience, and training may be considered. And so just thinking about if you don't exactly meet the skills that are noted there on the job description, but you really do feel that you meet that equivalency, then yes, explain how. Sometimes it's a little bit unclear from resumes exactly how somebody meets an equivalency. We can assume, or we can make up a story in our mind that, oh, they worked here, they've worked there, they've got some public service experience, but it's not quite clear. But you are the one who would be able to make that clear for the person reading your resume, reading your cover letter. And so I would say as well, if you are coming into this, I think this was part of the question, that what about if I'm appearing too overqualified? What if I'm just looking to get into a new industry and don't have a whole lot of related experience, but maybe have some transferable skills from another industry? Just really taking the time to explain in your cover letter or, a mission statement in your resume, why is it that you are looking to go into this field if it's new to you, or why are you looking to go into a position that maybe you feel overqualified for? Is it that you've got experience at a higher level in a different industry, but you really are taking a career pivot and you're wanting to really gain the foundational knowledge by taking a bit more of a kind of an not entry level, but perhaps entry level role just to gain that experience. So communicating that in your application is a great way to make sure that you're not misunderstood, that you're presenting yourself in the way that the person reading the resume can understand and make sure that they're understanding what you're wanting to give across.
I just want to add one more thing. For those that have experience outside of Canada, don't underestimate that experience either. At TransLink, we take that equally into consideration to your potential Canadian experience or your education that you're doing here right now. We see a lot of people forget to add in half their life because they feel that it's not relevant, but that's your story to tell. And my team takes that really seriously. 90% of my team actually has experience from outside of Canada, and that makes us like a beautiful, diverse team that is really trying to live that mission forward and encourage other hiring managers to look at other experience that could be recent related that Emma was saying too. So please don't forget your other story as well.
Thank you very much. I agree that maybe the communication skills inside the cover letter might be very useful. And also, your experiences and every experience you had is part of you, so use them in your benefit. Thank you very much both. This first question is pretty cool. I saw WorkBC's website today. I think that's a new one for Shabnam as well, that mentioned the following, quote, statistics show that 80% of job vacancies in Canada are not advertised. 80%. In some regions, that percentage is higher. Networking is a vital way to identify work opportunities and connect with potential employers in the hidden job market. Quote. Very interesting. For Sean and Rotimi, how do you think networking can support career development of students? And what are the most effective networking strategies in your opinion? Please, Sean.
Yeah, I think networking is probably one of the most important aspects of getting an interview at KPMG, I would say. And not just because you know people, I think it's from the information that they give you and what you do with it throughout your application and your cover letter. And we've spoken a lot about it already, but your cover letter is so important. I, for one, will read every single cover letter as well that comes through for roles that I'm recruiting for. And that's really a space that you can let us know what you know about the company, what you've learned throughout your time networking with our staff, and ensuring that we know that you know what we do. In regards to like how to network, I think LinkedIn is such an amazing thing to use. You can reach out to any of our employees through LinkedIn. They'll always be happy to have a coffee chat with you or connect with you. But I think events like today are super important and probably the most vital thing for students to go to, because people set aside their time for this and they want to speak to you. They want to get to know you all. Going to, I guess, in-house events, so any of the events that any of our companies are doing, I think is super important as well, because you get to see our office, you get to do an office tour, hopefully, you get to experience the culture and how we work. So yeah, I think networking is really vital, and it just lets us know a little bit more about you.
So there's about 2 to 3 really pivotal moments in my career in which networking has been the key to success or overcoming a failure. So it's fair to say, I can imagine that most folks in this room have gone through interview processes in which they've not been selected for the role. That's happened in my career numerous times. The very first was when I was interviewing for an opportunity at RBC. I wasn't selected after the phone screen, and networking is a way that I was still able to build a relationship with the recruiter, still build a relationship with the organization, and demonstrate my interest in the role. So how might that look? Say you're rejected for an opportunity, I would recommend really consistently following up with the recruiter. Demonstrate that you're still interested in learning more about the opportunities available in their organization. You're interested in understanding where the gaps in your skill set were and how you're able to improve on that gap, again, by skills development. And I think that's why networking is really crucial. As international students, many of us also do not have very well-established networks in Canada, talk less of in Vancouver. And so networking is a strategy that you're able to leverage to grow your personal brand. It's a way for you to demonstrate even how relevant the things that you're learning in the classroom might be able to apply in the work setting. So there's really 2 recommendations that I would have. One is, again, networking conversations with individuals and organizations that you're interested in, particularly if you've actually been turned down for a job opportunity there, because if they've demonstrated interest in your candidate profile, networking allows you to demonstrate, hey, even though I wasn't selected for this opportunity, I'm someone who is perseverant. I'm someone who is always on the go and looking for ways to improve. And the one way that you can demonstrate that to folks that influence the hiring process is networking. The second is LinkedIn. I think networking is a tool to grow your personal brand. So as you're going through courses that might be really impactful or you're really excited about what you're learning, make sure you share about those lessons on your LinkedIn. The way that I returned to IBM as a talent acquisition partner is because I'd resigned from my previous role, and on LinkedIn I shared that I was looking for recruitment opportunities, that I wanted to work more on employee experience initiatives, and that's how a talent acquisition manager at IBM reached out to me to apply for my most recent role. And so networking has proven to be really successful and really impactful at numerous stages of my career. And it's something that I consistently recommend to folks early in their career to build that sustainable launch pad in terms of the connections that you're able to build. Again, also accessing labor market information, which you mentioned, from folks that influence the hiring process. And also for you to create a strong personal brand that begins to attract recruiters and attracts opportunities. So that's my response.
Thanks. Well, today you have different individuals who I will introduce you in a moment. So they're here to network, to meet you, to support you. So take advantage of those opportunities. My last question goes to Rotimi, Emma, and Rubina as well. How does your organization support diversity, equity, and inclusion? How does it show up in the day-to-day and more broadly with the policies and initiatives your company is taking? Rotimi, can you start?
I'd be happy to start with this one. So I would consider myself to be an entrepreneur currently. Reason being, I was actually impacted by layoffs from my most recent role at IBM. Now, one of the things that I enjoyed most while working at IBM was really being able to contribute to their recruitment strategy and how they were able to diversify the talent pipeline for roles I was recruiting for. So for example, as a recruiter for strategy consultant opportunities, we noticed that there was very limited women representation in the talent pipeline. Same thing for technical roles. And so some of the tasks that I would work on while at IBM would include building partnerships with external talent networks focused on empowering women in consulting roles, women in technical roles, Black professionals in the tech industry, for example. And that's been really impactful within IBM. And I know many other organizations have similar approaches so that they're not only growing their employer brand, my bad, but they're also increasing their ability to attract diverse talents. So now the scope of work that I do, of course, I'm here speaking at UBC. I also very frequently speak at HR technology conferences on diversity recruitment strategy. And so I coach recruitment teams on how to set up these partnerships with talent networks, how to promote an employer brand that's inclusive, how to create job descriptions that are able to attract folks that typically feel excluded from the requirements that are listed. And so that's the way that I'm presently contributing to diversity, equity, and inclusion in the corporate workplace within Canada and in the US as well. And that's something that I think many organizations are delved into today.
Yes. So with Vancouver Coastal Health, we do provide care to communities in a number of areas of BC. So that includes urban settings. So Vancouver, Richmond, North Vancouver, the Sunshine Coast, which is Gibson's Powell River and Seashelt, and more rural sites, Bella Coola, Pemberton, Whistler. And in each of these areas, we have such a diverse population of clients and patients that we provide care for. So because it is our mission to provide excellent patient care, it really is of utmost importance that equity, diversity, and inclusion is woven into our policies, into the care that we provide, into the education that Vancouver Coastal Health provides its staff from onboarding point through to career progression. We recently, or I guess within the past 4 years, have had a number of what we call pillars built into our organization that we really see as foundational. So anti-racism, equity, diversity, and inclusion, Indigenous cultural safety, because these are so important to making sure that patients, that the people who live in all of our care areas feel comfortable to be able to come and receive care, and that nobody feels like they're not welcome in our care facilities. And so because this is so important and foundational in the organization, there has been a lot of work being done to build out these different teams to support Indigenous cultural safety and Indigenous health, an anti-racism team, an equity, diversity, and inclusion team, all of which work on different policies to uphold those important aspects of our organization, but also to deliver education to the people who work at VCH. So my team that I work for recently, we went to an Indigenous cultural safety training session to work with our Indigenous health team. We go through a lot of different training to make sure that that diversity is and inclusion and equity is really built in from the point of bringing on new staff to the organization, to supporting staff in their journey through their careers. So yeah, healthcare is really, because we're so focused on serving the client, getting that best patient care possible. And because we live in such a diverse city, it is so important to us that it remains a foundation upon which we build our organization and move forward.
One of the reasons I joined TransLink, I just joined in September. Before that, I was in healthcare as well, is I took a look at their website. Are they doing what they're saying? And so I would encourage you, as you're looking at organizations, to ask very strategic questions to the recruiter if this is the topic that you're concerned about. When I took a look at and I started meeting the team members that I would be joining, they come from diversity and they come from varying diverse lived experiences, which was important for me because I wanted to be seen, as well as to be with others that were facing barriers of employment, and they were able to gainfully get employment where they wanted. Then I started talking a little bit more to leaders of the organization, and I understood that TransLink has taken significant steps to look at the systems of racism within the organization and have incorporated specific policies, practices, and changes so that it's not just about hiring a brown face, it's more about what are we doing about the systemic colonialism as well as racism that's within Canada, and how is this organization able to dismantle that? And so through that, we've partnered with varying community groups to learn more about what the population requires, as well as then what changes we can make. So relationships with the indigenous people of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish, because our transportation systems are going through their communities. So we want to make sure that we're respectful in that. But then on the front is our leadership also reflective of the communities that we're serving. And so my team is taking significant steps in creating roles and advertising in areas that people may not be always going to, but there could be areas that will find our diverse candidates. So we're being a little bit more proactive and taking steps so that it's our work to do to welcome you into the organization, and that's the mission of how we're operating at TransLink.
Thank you very much. Great words. Appreciate it. Well, with this last question, we finished the panel discussion. Huge thank you to our incredible speakers for sharing their stories, experiences. And let's dive into some questions from the audience now. So the first question is, and please feel free to respond as you find your interest. The first question is, the competitive pool of candidates often use AI to make resumes tailored to jobs. In the AI era, how can one differentiate to catch the eye of a recruiter? Anyone want to start?
I can kick us off with that one.
Oh, yeah,
I think
sure.
like using it is definitely not a problem from my perspective. I think, like ChatGPT and stuff like that, I think it's pretty, I think you're going to use it regardless of what we say. So, I think what you need to do is tailor it once you've pulled that from ChatGPT or whatever you're going to use. So if you're just pulling a resume or a cover letter directly from that platform and using that immediately, there's going to be no element of you in it. It's just going to be, what you can find online, what the bot can pull for you. So I think if you're going to use it, just make sure you're going to edit it to perfection and put in your own personal experiences through it. But that's just my opinion. People might have difference of opinions.
Anyone wants to share?
No, I use it all the time. It should be a tool, not your source. So like Sean said, it can be the help to create your template. It can be the help to say the words that you think you want to say, but you just don't have the words in your mind to say it. So you use it to your advantage. Like science is here for a reason. But when I get on the phone with you, I want to hear you. I want to hear about you. So remember that as polished as that AI was that you generated, we also want to know more about you. And you're not going to trick yourself into getting the perfect job. Through the process, we'll kind of figure that out. So it's best to your advantage to use it as a tool and not just as the blanket. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyway,
I also think there's some more strategic opportunities to leverage AI in your job search. So for example, if you're interviewing for a marketing manager and this is your first time interviewing for a marketing role, you could ask ChatGPT, what are some of the most frequently asked questions during a marketing manager interview? One of the earlier questions in the panel was asking about labor market information. In case you're unable to book networking conversations and access that information from a one-on-one chat, you could ask ChatGPT. I'm graduating in 5 years and I'd like to get a job in the technology industry. What are some of the most prominent job opportunities that you anticipate in 2029? You know what I mean? So I really enjoyed Rubina's point. AI is supposed to be a supplement to the intelligence that you all already possess in the room. So the more that you're able to begin thinking strategically about where you would like to go and really leverage it as a support system to aid you in getting there, I think you'd find greater success and greater comfort with the idea of AI versus a fear of it.
thank you.
Yeah, I think that what the other panelists have said are great points. So I'll kind of just very briefly add on to it that often if you've generated, say, a large portion of your cover letter through ChatGPT or something like that, it does start to look quite similar, right? So it's using this large repository of information to find kind of what's the most common way to write something or what seems to be the best or most evidence-based way of writing what your knowledge is about a certain area. But when it's used very frequently, and if everybody is using it without then taking it and making sure it's in your own voice, doing those, those final edits, those polishing yourself, right? Then it maybe is a bit harder to make yourself stand out as a candidate, right? So what is different about you? What is your unique voice, right? So as everybody here has said, using it as a tool, I love to use it for exactly the thing that you cannot remember, which is on the tip of your tongue, or a different way of wording something. But then using maybe those couple those few words together, right? And then inserting it into your own story in your cover letter, in your resume to ensure that what you're putting forward is unique to you and it doesn't backfire and just kind of make everything look like every other person who might be using that as a source for a cover letter or for wording.
Thank you. So don't let the AI replace you. Recruiters want to meet you, right? They want to know from you. Thank you very much. My last question from the audience is, for those of us who are neurodivergent with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, do you think we should share this with the recruiting team? If so, when along the recruiting process should we share it?
I can go.
Yeah, Rubina, go please.
We're actively having conversations about this, and it's a learning for our organization. In all humility, it's something that we know is prevalent. It's also hidden, and we want to create an environment where folks feel comfortable to say it at any point along the way. And it really is your own comfort in how you and when you want to disclose. It does help us to know, but I would never ask my team to discourage someone from not saying it or not asking for the help. Our team is now proactively asking candidates if they need support throughout the recruitment process. So that is one way that we are opening up the conversation should you want to share. And one way that we're really trying to do this is throughout the interview process when we're along here with you. So we're encouraging recruiters to pre-give the interview questions, maybe an hour or so ahead of time, or have them typed out, or ensure that, you know, the screen is in a good light. Like, we're learning along the way too. So we're taking this advice from candidates and from employees who have shared this with us to better our recruitment process. And then internally, we're trying to create systems, but also buy systems to help you be better at your job too. So it's a work in progress, but it helps with the two-way communication.
Thank you.
I think as well, something that neurodivergent individuals on the job hunt could do is identify talent networks that are focused on supporting neurodivergent talent. So if you ask this question, I could recommend two organizations right now. One is called Lime Connect and the other is called Specialist Turn. These are organizations that are committed to working with employers that are really intentional about creating inclusive environments for neurodivergent folks on the job hunt, neurodivergent folks in the workplace. So those could be great opportunities for you to expand your network with folks of a similar background that have a mutual understanding of the challenges you would experience on the job hunt and in the workplace, and also a way for you to get in touch with an organization that could be an advocate for you, understanding that you're going through more unique challenges that most individuals on the job market don't go through.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess these two in regards to everything, but yeah, like as Rubina mentioned, you know, they're asking before their interview process now. It's very similar with KPMG, but we're asking kind of even in our event surveys just to see if there's any support or anything we can do as a company to assist anyone who's coming into our office or even virtual. So yeah, it's definitely a work in progress, but it's something that we're always striving to improve within our company. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much to everyone. Yeah, I love chatting with you this evening. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. Thank you.